Well, here we are, another fantastic day at the Rock House Music Alliance, and we're real happy to announce we have the one and only world famous inventor of the sad song nation, Mr. Addison Johnson, in the studio with us
What's
today.
up, brother?
How's it going?
It's going good, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're having us a big time already.
Absolutely.
Going to just keep on going. I figured we'd get on here and talk a little bit.
Yeah, for sure,
see what
man.
we can come up with.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that was fun out there messing around a little bit.
Yeah, we tend to try to do it up right around here in these parts, you know.
Sure.
Well, what brought you here was your music, and you've got some fantastic music out there, and we'd like to talk about that. And can you get us started a little bit by just telling us how you got into music and how that worked?
Yeah, for sure. You know, music has always been such a huge part of my life. I think, you know, if you go over to my grandmother's house, she can still break out a VHS for you of me singing Mercury Blues at 4 years old at karaoke down at Blues Lake in North Carolina.
Nice.
And so she likes to show that to anybody that will watch it.
I'm going to have to get a hold of her and see if I can get a little bit of that footage.
And, you know, so it's always been something. I don't think I started getting like really serious with it until I was probably 13, 14 years old. And, you know, started picking up the guitar a little bit and started writing. Writing has really, for me, always been, you know, the number one thing. But, you know, I sung and everything that I could sing in, whether it was choir or whatever I could find, you know, coming up. I had bands in high school and things like that. And, you know, I got to around 19 years old, and I had been writing at that point for several years, kind of steady. And I just woke up one day and I was like, I think I'm going to go to Nashville and just see. I had no expectations. You know, I had been playing some shows around Greensboro, North Carolina, and enjoying doing it and stuff like that. And I was in community college at the time, and I didn't have a lot going on. I didn't really feel like I was, you know, that there was anything, like, I love where I'm from, but there wasn't anything there that was keeping me there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, we'll just go try, you know, see what happens. And so I moved down to, I got into MTSU in Murfreesboro, barely, and moved down there with about $50 in my pocket, and majored in beer and girls for about 2 years.
I did the same thing at ETSU up here in Johnson City.
And met so many great people there that would end up like influencing my life for years to come. And so it was one of those things where it was very much meant to be. At least I felt that way. But those early years were really tough. Like that, they were super tough. But you know, my grandparents and stuff, I definitely got the old country music influence with them. I spent a ton of time with them. And so, you know, my grandmother would listen to George Jones or Merle Haggard and guys like that. And, you know, my dad, being a Gen Xer, was into Run DMC and stuff like that. And so I got some hip hop influence from that. Not that that's ever shows up in my music all the time, but like,
I was gonna say, I ain't seen you rapping.
No, but I mean, I still love Run DMC. You know?
Yeah.
So, but you know, and so there's been a lot of things, but my grandparents mostly were like a big starter for me, just that introduction to country. And as I, you know, started getting into around more songwriters and stuff, I found other influences, especially when I got to Nashville, because I grew up just like everybody else did, you know, in a small town or something. You listen to top 40 radio, that's what you listen to.
Yeah, that's what you had available.
Exactly. So when I came to Nashville, I came, you know, knowing those guys with the expectation that I was going to try to get a publishing deal or a writing deal, and I was going to, you know, try to write songs like that. I've always been kind of a more traditional writer, even in this sense, and that's why I struggled kind of early on with trying to fit into the mold of what's going down on Music Row.
Yeah.
And that was a struggle for me immediately because I had the opportunities pretty much like right off to have a little publishing deal and things like that. And it's like I'm sitting in these writing rooms every day, and something just wasn't clicking. I'm like, this is not how. Not that I don't like writing songs like that or those guys aren't talented. It's just that's not how my heroes. That's not how Willie Nelson or Chris Christopherson wrote their songs, and so I didn't want to write my songs that way.
Yeah.
And so, but even then, like when I was first there, I was working every like miserable job like you could think of.
What's the worst one you had?
Well, we're gonna, in case you ever get sponsorships for this show, we're gonna leave off any names. But my first job there, I can say this because they're going under at this point, was Sears. And they gave me a grand total of $7.25 an hour to come and work in the receiving department, and then I got another job after that driving a forklift, and I used to drive this forklift all day, and it was for a hardwood company, and it was long hours, like 12-hour days. I was still playing like 4 nights a week, $100 4-hour sets, kind of around Middle Tennessee. But I would ride around on that forklift, and that is where things really changed for me, was on that forklift.
Okay.
Because I started, Spotify was becoming a thing, 2011, 2012, it was really catching on. So I had a Spotify account and all that. And so I started finding guys like Jason Eady and Adam Hood and Chris Knight and Hayes Carl and Todd Snyder. And I didn't realize you could just do whatever the hell that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, you didn't have to play by the rules.
Yeah.
That there was this whole group of people that not only made art, they made their own art, and they were successful doing it, could make a living doing it, could make a damn good living doing it.
Yeah.
And so that completely changed the game for me, seeing those kind of artists. And so I started, and not only did it change how like I used my career, but it changed how I started writing songs.
Well, and that's something I wanted to talk to you about. Is you've got a unique ability to tell a story.
Yeah,
I mean, every song that you have, I see things in my head when I listen to it.
Yeah.
And like I can see exactly what you're talking
Sure.
about. So how the hell do you do that? I guess is what I'm trying to get to, is how do you have the story kind of laid out before you start actually getting down into the words in the verse and the chorus, or do you just write it and it blends there?
Yeah, my best songs, my best songs have been like, and I think other writers have. I think you learn to write songs in like different aspects. Like you and I could sit down and we could write a song here, and we could co-write a song.
Yep.
Or I could write a song while I'm driving, or I could do that. But the best songs are the ones where it's like I'm sitting on my bed, or I'm sitting in a hotel room, and I'll just go into like a trance of like an hour and a half. I'm not even thinking, I'm just writing.
Yeah.
And it just kind of happens. I don't really plan it out or anything like that. I might draw inspiration from something. So one of my songs, Rollin' Stolen.
Yep.
The song is about a guy that steals a Chevelle to sell fake drugs to the Italian mafia in New Orleans. It's a pretty off the wall idea for a song.
I call it a wholesome song.
Yeah. Yeah, at the Sunday picnic. And a good buddy of mine, Jeff Goodwin, was a Metro police officer. And so me and him were actually going fishing, and he was telling me about the Rollin' Stolen list that they had back in the 90s with the police department, which basically meant if you caught somebody on this Rollin' Stolen list, and it was like a locally stolen car or something like that, if you caught somebody off that list, you got a day off. But
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I could just not get, and he would tell me, we'd be fishing. He'd tell me about all these police chases and stuff like, that he had, and so, but I could not get like Rollin' Stolen out of my head. I was just like, man, that is a heck of a name for a song.
Yeah.
And so, but I took, tidbits here and there from some of his stories and made my own story out of it. But it's always, and that's a beautiful part about story songs. Like, that's why I love them so much. That's why I really lean into them, is because they're extremely hard to duplicate.
Yeah.
You listen to, top 40 radio, it's beer truck girl, beer, like, people are duplicating that over and over again. And even, like, I get a lot of crap for it, but not writing love songs, there's only so many ways that you can, dial that up, I feel like, a lot of times.
I got a pound of white powder up under my bed, and I really gotta get it gone. So I went down to old Bobby Gentry's house, 'cause I knew he wasn't home. Yeah, I really had to hustle. That American muscle was tucked in the kudzu vine. With a little hot wire, I was spinning tires, and I heading toward the county line. And now I'm rolling, stolen down to New Orleans in that old Chevelle. I got the law on my hands and my foot on the gas, yeah, hauling them cartel bells. I gotta get there for the morning while the sheriff's still snoring, and try to make that sale. Well, I'm a rolling, stolen down to New Orleans in that old Chevelle. At 2 a.m. I came around a bend, and I saw them flashing blue lights. So I grabbed me a gear and I started to steer up that old country hillside. I ain't smoky meat bandit, I gotta hand it to them boys out there in blue. They were spinning like a top, had 'em picking up rocks, well, they hung in for a mile or two. And now I'm rolling, stolen down to New Orleans in that old Chevelle. I got the law on my hands and my foot on the gas, yeah, hauling them cartel bells. I gotta get there for the morning while the sheriff's still snoring, and try to make that sale. Well, I'm a rolling, stolen down to New Orleans in that old Chevelle. Well, I got to the spot and I made that drop, and he handed me an envelope. And I let the French Quarter hauling for the border, 'cause I knew what they didn't know. Yeah, that pound of white powder was a pound of white flour, and those Italians were looking for me. They were shooting them pistols, I was flying like a missile, leaving the land of the free. And now I'm rolling, stolen back from New Orleans in that old Chevelle. I got the mob on my hands and my foot on the gas. Boys, I'm hauling the mail. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm sure gonna spend it, and I got a good story to tell. Well, I'm a rolling, stolen back from New Orleans in that old Chevelle. Well, I'm a rolling, stolen back from New Orleans in that old Chevelle.
I have a hard time writing one that somebody doesn't die in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so, that being said, when you have a story song like that, and some of the guys that I mentioned earlier, like, they're the best in the world at doing this, but you can just put whatever detail, whatever you want in it. Like, you can make it different. And for me, like, my favorite songwriters are not always what I would say are the best songwriters, but they're the most different songwriters.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, catches my ear and sticks out to me. It's like, wow, that was really a fresh perspective at attacking that song or that idea or that verse. Or, he used a car in his song that I've never heard in a song before. Instead of truck, he used El Dorado. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just something or El Camino. Just something different that sticks out. So yeah, that's kind of why I've leaned into story songs.
Yeah, and your style is it's unique to you. You know, I could hear somebody cover a song that you'd wrote, and I'd be like, Addison wrote that, because you've got that unique ability to really pull those details in. You know, you mentioned Chris Knight, and I've been a fan of him for years.
Sure.
He's got a whole different ability where he can convey so much information just using really simple, real to the point words.
Yeah.
And that's his style.
Sure.
And, you know, there's room out there for everybody to pitch in and throw their art on the table. And man, I think it's so cool to kind of get to sit and talk and hear about how you come up with those things.
Yeah, you know, and I'll tell you the most outlaw country thing that you'll probably ever hear on this show. Okay, you ready?
I got my seatbelt on.
All right. Probably the best show that I ever saw was in high school, and it was Mary Poppins on Broadway in New York.
Really?
Yes, it was unbelievable. I've never seen a show like that in my life, But the main thing that I took away from it, you know, Mary Poppins always says, a spoonful of sugar helps a medicine go down. That's how I write songs. You can get away with saying a lot of really crazy shit.
Yeah.
If you feed it with a spoonful of sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, you know, when I'm doing, you know, The Trip or Waiting on the World to End or something like that, people dance to those songs. Those are not songs that you should dance to. You know what I mean? Like if you can package stuff in different ways, like you can get away, or if you set up a story correctly, or you know, the dark humor in things has always been my favorite part, because that's just who I am as a person. Like I love movies that have dark humor.
Yeah,
and so. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And so you can get away with saying a lot of stuff purely by how you package it.
And how it's presented.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, I've been guilty to dancing around listening to Waiting on the World to End and happy about it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's end this shit.
Yeah, time to jump off.
Yeah, I feel good and I'm having a good time, and I don't give a damn if it ends.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
But that's, I mean, man, what a skill to have and to be able to do that. And you've got just so many songs that really, you know, I think Rolling Stone was the one that first introduced me to you. Came across Spotify. I had Alex on there.
Yep.
And the way it cycles through the algorithm and all that, and got to listen to that, which brings me up to a point that story I want to tell you about the first time I met you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a downer of a story, but I think it's a cool story, and I think it's something that needs to be said, because you can take your music and walk up on a stage, and no matter what that person watching you is going through, you take all that away from them and give them that relief. Yeah, just for the amount of time that you're on stage, they just sit there and go to a different place. Yeah. And what happened to me was I had a buddy of mine, Eric Worley. We played music together for years. Yeah, and did some songs together and stuff like that. And he had some health problems, and he'd passed away. Mm-hmm. And I had tickets to go see you and Kendall down at the Shed. Yeah. And on a Saturday night. Sure. And was in the hospital with him on Friday, and he was what seemed to be like doing good. Yeah. And I thought, well, all right, he's going to turn around, and, you know, the doctor's involved, and everything's going to be okay. And time I got home, it wasn't just a couple hours. He'd passed away. So,
yeah, man.
I woke up that Saturday morning with my boots on. Yeah. In the bed. Yeah. Sure. I may have got a little too deep into bourbon. Yeah. Feeling bad. And no offense, I just didn't want to go to the show. Yeah, sure. I didn't. I'd always wanted to see Kendall, and
I think that's understandable.
Yeah, and didn't know that you were opening. Sure. You know, so I'm like, well. So I got all grumped up and mad and sat in the car, and I complained the whole way down there. Sure. Got down there. Then the show was on the inside, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So I'm like, I wanted it to be outside. Yeah, sure. I was just being a bitch, I guess, is basically what was going on. Man. And you walked in, and I was standing there over in the corner, and you just looked at me and gave me a head nod and walked up on stage and started playing. And I thought, does he know what happened to me? Like, does he know that? But the more you played, I mean, halfway through the first song, my arms come down, and then, second song, hell, I'm tapping my toe. And then I just got to the point, and I realized at that point right there how important music is and what it can do. Because I was in a damn bad place, man. I needed some damn relief.
Yeah, sure.
And you and Kendall got up there and just laid it out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man, for sure. And man, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think music at its core, at its best, it's music can change someone's mood. It can influence, their day and everything. But you talk about live shows specifically. That right there is such a special, sacred thing. And I try to tell guys that, because there's nothing wrong with singing to your phone and being on TikTok and doing all that thing. If that's your thing, cool, that's fine. But the live show, man, there's an exchange of energy between the artist and the fans, because, our days as well are not always perfect. We'll have hard days showing up for work, just like anybody has a hard day showing up for work. And sometimes like we need you guys as much as you might need us that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's it's a special thing because, to Todd Snyder, he always has this saying for he starts into a song. He's like, I didn't come down here to change anybody's mind about anything. I came down here to ease my mind about everything.
Oh, wow.
And it is such a great way, to put that. And he's got another one. He goes, I hope this is a great 90-minute distraction from our impending doom.
We're just waiting on the world.
That's it, man. That's it. And really, that's, I'm there to do a job. I'm there, but my job, man, is such a cool thing because I get to share. I really appreciate you sharing that moment with me because it's a very vulnerable, hard moment for you and what you were going through that day. And we get in the habit of just in our own mind thinking about what we're doing, whether it's you got stuff going on at work or at the house and you just think about yourself and you forget about that piece of it.
Yeah.
I'm as guilty as anybody forgetting about that piece of it. And, I told you off camera, I had someone kind of remind me that, hey man, you're in the service business when you're doing this. And the fans play like a big part of that as well. It's such and that's why I always play live. Like if we could go back to hanging flyers tomorrow and we didn't have to do social media, I would do that in a second.
Yeah.
I'd be out there right now hanging flyers because I just really love playing live. The people aspect of this will always be the best part.
Yeah, and you brought up something that I want to highlight and say again is that the fans, you need the fans too.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I've played shows where nobody's interested. It's almost like you're bothering them.
Sure.
And those are hard shows to get through. But once you get that point, and I think that's something that not a lot of people understand, when an artist gets to that point to where the fans are engaging with them, that's a feeling you can't replicate anywhere else with any other profession ever.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's that connection that you were talking about and that transfer of energy happens.
And two, I think it's I love my family very much, but I have a road family that I am just as close with, if not closer.
Yeah.
People that over the years of doing this independent, music thing, because the independent music fans are hands down the best fans, and I'm not just I'm not just saying that because that's the side that I'm on. They just really are. Like their dedication and stuff, and I'm talking about anything from rooms to meals to sliding $20 in your pocket when you didn't have it, or just especially in those early years, man, of doing those 4-hour sets for $100, and it's my 4th night that week and working a 12-hour shift. And like, that's why people quit, man. Because like, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really hard, but somebody will come along and they'll just say one thing, and that'll keep you going.
Get to the next.
And that sometimes that's all it takes is it's just that one word. It's just that one person that bought a CD. They liked it. They dug it.
Yeah.
Maybe them other people didn't, but this person did,
Yeah.
And that right there can take you from driving a forklift to next week I'm going to Europe.
Yeah.
One person back 13 years ago put $5 in my tip jar, and it kept me going. And it kept me going. And another person kept me going too. I'm sitting here having a podcast with you today, and we're having a great time. We're going to have a great show tonight, and that'll keep me going. And I go on to the next. And so very much 1,000%, like the fans are the gasoline in this engine.
Yeah.
And it's not always sales, or it's just participation and heart and caring about the craft and what you're doing and the appreciation for it.
Yeah, and there's a whole community.
Absolutely.
Like the folks that are invested and interested in your music, and I talked about this with Ryan Brandon too. Those fans, just by the way that the thing happens, is they have to go out and seek you.
Sure.
So they're hungry for something.
Yeah.
They're looking for good music. They're looking for a storytelling song.
Sure.
They're looking for those kind of things, and then they find it, and they realize. I think, especially for me, I try to go to all the shows I can. I try to buy merch and stream and do all those things, because I realize you have to support independent music, which is why we do this podcast.
Yeah, man. And you think about, especially in the ways that, the country has been in the last 5 years or so with, somebody, because, Morgan Wallen, Zach Bryan, these guys, they're on the big stages. They're doing the big thing, $300-$400 tickets and stuff like that. And that's crazy. It's a ton of money for anybody.
Yeah.
But it's also a ton of money to come see a guy like me, when this is, this might be the one thing that you and your family or your wife or whatever is getting to come out and do for that month or that week. And you spend, you got 2 tickets for $25 or something like that. And then you got meal, and then you got a merch on top of that, or you do that. And like, if that's how you're spending your time, you're instantly one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to love you as much as you're loving me, because I know that that's not free, and that dedication is not free. And the people like that also, that I was just talking with a friend about this, Jason Isbell, had a quote about, that there's a lot of good burgers in this town. You don't have to eat McDonald's every day.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot of meaning. And if you separate that and you look at it, there's a McDonald's off of every exit. It's just like Top 40 radio. It tastes good. It's cheap.
It'll fill you up.
Yeah, it'll fill you up. It's easy to get. You can get it just about anywhere. But at the end of the day, I don't know how great it is for you.
Yeah.
But if you were going to take your wife out for a nice steak or something, you're going to go on Yelp and you're going to check the reviews of the place. You're going to put in the research. And if you can do that for a steak, you can surely do that for music.
Yeah.
And that's what makes independent fans great, is because that's what they do for music.
Yeah.
They do the research. They look for the guys that have maybe fallen in the cracks or not seen very often. And they end up changing those guys' lives.
Yeah.
Because without those kind of fans, they wouldn't, they wouldn't advance to the next level or the next step. And we have seen that now over and over and over again. Talk about somebody like Sturgill, or right now the Red Clay Strays that are exploding.
Oh yeah, they're getting hot.
Those guys. There's pictures of or videos of Tyler Childers everywhere. Playing in coffee shops.
Yep.
And people talking over him. over him. And those people today could not afford to get a ticket to go see him.
Ain't that something?
You know what I mean? But somewhere along the way, there was a group of fans that really believed in that guy, and they got him there.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's very much a partnership, man. And it's something, and it's not only fans, it's venue owners, it's people that do podcasts. If you have a heart for it and passion for it, like, it's all a team effort. At its core, at its best, when everything's going well, we all win to some extent. You know, we're putting on great shows, which means the venue's doing good, and the fans are happy, and the podcast has big numbers because everybody wants to listen to what this guy has to say. You know, and so there's what, like I said, at its core, it can all be good when it's going well.
Yeah. And hell, I'll travel to go see a show.
Sure.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, they don't come around to East Tennessee, so I got to go where they're at. And I think if you're that kind of fan, not only do you help support those artists a lot better, but you understand what they do a lot better.
Yeah.
And you understand exactly what you guys are putting together and how to consume that product and respect it the way that it needs, because it's a lot of work. It's not easy to write these songs. Yeah,
really. I mean, the playing and stuff, that's the fun, you know. And I try to tell people this, and not that I know everything at all. In fact, quite the opposite. But as far as people like getting started and getting into this thing, as I'm like approaching, 15 years in it, is like, if you're getting in this, especially the independent side of things, like, you want to do this and you're getting into it to play music, like, you need to be prepared for you to do that about 20% of the time, and you getting ready to run your business the other 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, the playing is the result of all the other stuff. It's not the first and foremost. Like the writing and all that, like, that's what, like, I treasure, like, is the art side of this. And, I look at the great songwriters and the people that I admire, but it's the hell that you have to go through to even for those songs to see the light of day.
Yeah.
It's the $6,000 transmissions you put in your van, and it's the I opened up for Wilder Blue this year. Zane Williams, those guys. I don't know if you've seen Wilder Blue or not.
I'm familiar with the name, but I'm not familiar with the word.
Incredible. Probably one of the best acts that I've ever seen.
Really,
Zane Williams is a Texas guy, been around forever. Unbelievable songwriter in his own right. But anybody in this band could be the lead singer of this band. They're like the Eagles, like, super group.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, these guys will kick your ass, like, very easily.
Yeah.
And we played this awesome show at the Bird's Nest Listening Room. Give a shout out to my friends there in Dunn, North Carolina. Sold out show. It's great, and people are rolling in and stuff. Right now, I don't have a tour manager or anything like that, which means I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
So people start rolling in, and I start. Guy comes up and he buys a shirt. I sell him a shirt, and it's getting about 10 minutes before I'm getting ready to play. So I head up and I go and I play my set. Set went great. Crowd went great. I walk off stage and I walk right by that guy as I'm going back to the booth, and he goes, "You're the T-shirt guy."
Well, yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I am the T-shirt guy.
I'm also the mechanic.
I'm also the bus driver.
I'm the bus driver.
The booking agent.
Yeah.
The T-shirt designer, the songwriter, the singer.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, and I think that's good. Especially, and you don't. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be all those things forever. You'd love for some of those things to be taken off your plate.
Yeah.
But I do think it's beneficial for guys and girls to know how to do all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because that'll keep it from getting it taken away from you if you know how to do everything.
And even as you grow, you can manage that.
Absolutely, because you have the experience.
Yeah, you know what they're going through. When they have a problem, they can come to you and say, hey, we're having a problem with merch. We're having a problem with routing or scheduling. What do we do here? And you're like, well, here's how we fix this.
Exactly.
I've done it 50 times before.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great. I think that's, you look at successful businessmen all over the country, like they started on the floor and worked themselves up to that point. And so, it's great to have help and stuff like that. I always say, when your career needs it, you'll get it,
Yeah.
And so, but wearing all those different hats, like the independent music fans, like they see you wearing those hats. Like, I can't tell you how many people that I have that, I finish a show and they'll help me load out because they know it's just me.
Yeah.
Or that they'll ask me, what do you need? Like, and that's the kind of people that you get to meet on the road that ends up becoming your road family. People now that have seen me grow up, literally from a kid at 19, 20 years old at playing some of these places to now going to be 34, in January, have literally seen me grow up, become a man playing music. And so I have relationships with all those people as something that, something that could never be taken away, something I wouldn't trade for anything. And you learn that stuff by going the long way around and doing things the hard way. And that's not always recommended. If you can catch a break, catch a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I feel really good about everything that I've done in that sense, purely because of the relationships that I've created, not only with fans, but with venue owners and stuff. My phone is full of great venues all over the country, and a lot of times I can just call and be like, hey, man, I'm coming.
Yeah, can I get
a date here? Yeah, you can get a date. And that's really hard to do unless you have that relationship.
Oh, yeah. And I'll say specifically for you, I've met you at a couple shows, and you've always taken the time to come talk to me, shake my hand. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? I'm always probably aggravating you to play F5 or something like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, and it's not like, and that's something that I want to do because I want people to know how much that I appreciate them allowing me to do what I want to do, and because it doesn't happen without people giving a damn and caring.
Yeah.
And one doesn't come without the other. And so it's not like, I need to go out here and shake some hands so I can keep doing what I'm doing. It's like, man, I want to let these people know how much I really appreciate that I don't have to go into and drive that forklift on Monday.
Yeah. And I've seen, I've experienced it myself, and I've seen you with other fans. I mean, you're talking to them and you really putting in the work. I don't know that you even call that work.
Yeah.
It's part of the job, and it's probably very, very beneficial and feels good to you that, hey, these people traveled to come here.
Sure.
They're supporting what I'm doing. And to see an artist that recognizes that and puts so much effort into putting that back out for the fans to consume. We talked about the behind the scenes stuff, and you're just cards on the table. Hey, I'm going to come sing some cool songs, and I hope you like them. And it works.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and what's great too about the community that has been created, and we're all extremely busy in our own right. So I know you've had Rye Davis on here,
yep.
Brandon Martin. Those are two really good friends of mine. I've known them for a long time, and we don't get to see each other a lot, but one of their fans will become one of my fans.
Yeah.
And it's so and especially now getting to play some bigger shows that are not independent fan central. It's a mainstream artist, and then me opening that show. Well, that they find my music, or Rye will go open a big show and they'll find Rye's music, and then they go down the rabbit hole of independent artists. And I've had so many people tell me that it's like, man, I can't believe how much great music is out there that is not getting seen or heard to the level that I think it should be, to the radio level anyways. And so that part of it has also like been a really cool thing, that whole community between the artists and the fans, where they'll, well, we're not going to come see you on Friday, Addison, because we're gonna go see Rye play, but we're gonna come see you on Sunday when you're over there, and people will just jump around all over the place and go and support us, and that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and Rye talked about it when we had him on here. He said there's a movement going on, and I think that just really solidifies what's happening. There is a movement, and people are gravitating to this format of music. And I think the reason why is because it's so genuine.
Yeah.
You don't have some AR dude sitting there that probably doesn't know shit about writing the song.
Yeah.
All they know is money.
Yeah.
And that's all they care about is money. Well, sometimes it ain't about just the money.
Sure.
Sometimes it's about, hey, I'm going to write a song that people can connect with.
Yeah.
And it means something to them. And then that connection builds that as a stronger fan, and that's supporting everybody being able to come and do this music, which is just super cool, man. Sometimes I feel fortunate to even think I'm just a small part of it,
Dude,
just to get and sit and talk to you guys and learn about this.
For sure, man. And I think it's so cool what y'all are doing, and there's folks like that that I've encountered all over the country that have cut out their own little piece of kind of like, Americana independent stomping ground that they advance in some way. Like me and Brandon, like, we're going to go and play up in Buffalo, New York. Coming up
at the Waz Fest.
Yeah. Like your Dustin Kennedy down at North Springs. Like, he's created this huge independent festival that is like his own thing, where you got them Dirty Roses and Taylor Honeycutt and, all these, Ward Davis and all these great, independent acts coming to this little bitty town out in the hills of Tennessee. And that's such a cool thing, man.
Yeah.
It's something out of nothing, which at its root is this business.
Yeah.
It's songwriting, creating something out of nothing, and then all of a sudden you have this thing in this world that people are sharing, and that's such a cool thing, man. So I appreciate you doing. I appreciate you letting me be a part of it.
Oh, we're glad to have you here. It's just been just crazy for us. We just started this thing this year, and to be able to get the level of talent and the guys on the show that we've had so far, really just blown me away.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah,
and
man.
That's the point, is we want to get this music out there and let everybody else know.
Sure.
Hey, there's some stuff out there that you probably will really gravitate to and connect to. It's just hard to find.
Yeah.
And that's our goal, is to get it out there for people and be like, hey, you should go check this person out. They've got some cool material.
Absolutely.
And we've been pretty successful and hope to keep it going. So.
Yeah, man. No, that's great. Now, I look forward to coming back too.
We got some plans.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Absolutely.
Speaking of being successful, Mercy, you talked about driving a forklift and playing these little venues and this and that and the other, and now you're going to Europe.
Yeah,
play.
man.
What about that? That's a check mark on the list right there, isn't it?
Man, that has meant so much to me to do that, and probably because, like, I had very young parents growing up, and we struggled a little here and there, and we didn't. My mom and my dad, they did their very best with what they had, which a lot of times meant we created our own fun.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so we didn't go to a ton of places, and things like that. And that's what I really enjoyed about this job, is just going to different places and meeting different kinds of people. And the first time going over there, man, it was kind of like sending a redneck to the moon. I mean, this small town kid from North Carolina going, south of Germany over here and in Liechtenstein, and what an experience, man. Just overall, it's something that I definitely want to continue doing more of. because I just love it. Like, I love it. You know, when I got over there, I didn't know what to expect. Had no idea. And they just love it. Like, they love country music so much there. And I was playing with, William Michael Morgan. And I got on stage and I kicked into, I had a great backing band from the UK, and we kicked into Rollin' Stolen. And I got to the chorus, and I'm playing in front of about, it's probably like 1,000 to 1,500 people. And I got to the chorus, and as soon as I got to the chorus, I saw about 8 people shoot out of their seat and start singing the chorus.
Oh.
And obviously, like I mentioned earlier, like, this song is about a guy that steals a Chevelle to sell fake drugs to the Italian mafia in New Orleans. And I'm like tearing up on stage.
Yeah.
Because I'm 6,000 miles away from home. And these people know my music.
They know, they're singing it back to you.
And I'm just this kid from North Carolina. Man, that just meant the world to me.
Yeah.
And so being able to grow that, like, it certainly has great benefits for, you know, internationally and domestically, of just, like, it helps the career, it helps things. And so there's certainly benefits there, but just the overall experience of getting to go play music all over the world in different places for different people, like, that part to me is extremely appealing. It's something that I want to continue to do. I would like to even go as far as maybe doing half my dates there eventually, half my dates here.
Yeah.
You know, to an extent, that's kind of later down the road, you know, plans and stuff. But yeah, man, it's been incredible. The only really bad time I had was this past time that I went. I was probably as sick as I've ever been in my entire life leading up to this trip, and to the point where I thought I was going to have to cancel.
Oh, man.
And this was like a big one. It's like 5 shows, like 2,000 people a night. Like,
yeah,
it's a big deal for me to be doing it. And so, like, I was already sick going into it, just miserable, like, felt bad, but I was on the back end of it, but just no voice whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I get on they end up delaying my flight. And so I have to, and, you know, international flights are no joke, as you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You miss one of them, boy, like, you're in for a day.
Itinerary's gone.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's what basically happened. And so all I had with me was my guitar and my backpack. And they lost all my bags, everything. Oh. Like, they sent me to Europe, and my bag stayed in New York.
That's funny how they do that, ain't it?
Yeah, it's not one of my favorite tricks that they do.
No.
But they and so, like, I mean, this goes, and I'm supposed to be there for a little over a week or so, and I think I got my stuff, like, on the last day there. And shout out to Franz Joseph and everybody over there in Liechtenstein, because they took such good care of me. I had been up for like 34 hours at this point. They picked me up in Zurich, and they had a personal driver for me. He immediately took me to this local shop where you know, and it's not like it wasn't like shopping here, where you just walk into a Walmart and it's like, okay, there's some Under Armour boxers. I need 3 pairs of them. I had a lady there that was just in this one shop. She walked up to me and started helping me shop for underwear after I had been up for 34 hours.
Like, that ain't awkward as hell.
Yeah. She was like, what size do you need? Mediums work for you? I'm like, oh my God, help me.
Sitting there talking about your under trousers with a woman in the store.
I know.
God.
And so sick as a dog.
Yeah.
Just miserable. And so we get that part squared away. The biggest part, though, was I didn't have any boots. I didn't wear them on the plane because, you know, getting through TSA can kind of be a challenge sometimes. And when you wear size 13 boots, man, they take up a whole one of those, a whole tray, you know. So we, And so I told him, I was like, man, I really need some boots. Like, I don't want to go on stage in front of all these people without boots. I love boots. It's part of me. It's what I wear. And so he's like, well, let me call my boot guy. Now, for the folks listening that, have no idea maybe where Liechtenstein is. Liechtenstein is a small country just south of Germany. It's like the last true monarch in Europe, and there's 30,000 people there. Like, it's just a town,
Yeah.
But it is a unbelievably beautiful place, and the people there are unbelievably kind. Like, it is a really special place to me, and but like I said, 30,000 people, like, they might have one Western store if they have that, right?
Yeah.
And and so he's like, let me call my boot guy. I'm like, okay, call your boot guy. He's like, so he's talking to him on the phone. I'm standing there beside him. He's like, well, what size does he wear? And he's like, 13s. He's like, oh my God. Apparently there wasn't a lot of 13s, but
must not have been.
No, but we found like 3 pairs or whatever, and one of them are like, they're bedazzled, and that's never going to happen.
You're not going to do the Porter Wagners?
I'm just going to go Willie Nelson in bare feet at that point, or something. And the next pair were like some Justin Work boots, and I was like, yeah, I'd probably make that work if we need to. And I knew what the last pair was, because I could tell by the design what they were. I knew they were super nice. And I'm like, oh my God, how much for those? And he's like, they're $1,200. They're Luke Casey's. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take them. Yeah. I'll take them. That stings, because I'm here to make money, not spend it. You know what I mean? And thankfully, the festival, they took such good care of me. Ended up comping all that for me, so I didn't lose or anything like that. I did have to figure out how to get an additional week's worth of clothes in my bag and back home, because literally, I didn't have anything until the last day. And I was like, well, y'all should have just left it there at this point.
Yeah,
and I could have just picked it up
on the way,
exactly.
way back through. I've gone to where I always, and maybe it gets weird at TSA, but I always put another pair of underwear and socks in my carry-on bag and a toothbrush.
Hey, that's gonna be the strategy this time.
Yeah. You at least gotta have you Under Armour.
Look, man, like I said, I ain't gone to a lot of places, and sometimes you gotta learn the hard way, and that's about the hardest way you can learn. I did a week of suffering, but I did get some Luke Casey's out of it.
Well, that would make a good song. You're gonna have to write a song about them boots.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Oh man. Lost your luggage and wound up with a snazzy pair of boots.
Yeah. Those are the weddings and funerals boots. That's about the only time they come out. They're a little too nice for me. So,
well, we've talked about Europe. Let's talk about some new music.
Yeah, absolutely,
coming out here. That's always exciting for fans like me to hear about.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited right now. Getting back in the studio. Obviously, just had a new album come out this year, but when you're paying for it on your own, you got to get started pretty early if you're going to have it even a couple years, down the line.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have to wait a couple years. We got some new music that's going to be coming here in February and stuff too. So at least that's a lie that we've worked up so far. Yeah, man, taking a totally different approach on stuff this time around, and that's something that I've been filling out. I've been very happy with like how the live shows and stuff have been going. I feel like I've found a groove, something that's me, that I can identify with in the live show, that I think that's been going really well, and I think that the fans enjoy. And I want to try to translate that to a record, more or less. And so I've been doing mostly acoustic shows, listening rooms, kind of that whole storytelling thing that we had talked about earlier. And so this is going to be, the stuff coming is going to be a much more broken down, version of this new music. It's not going to be the full 8-9 piece band stuff with the full Nashville polished production that you will hear. This is going to be a little bit more down and dirty kind of vibe.
A little bit more raw.
Yeah.
Kind of just,
for sure.
right where the music was wrote.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Without a lot of the bells and whistles.
Absolutely. And even for me, like I always consider myself, I always say there's people that play guitar and there's guitar players. And I'm just somebody that plays guitar.
Yeah, me too.
and there's people that sing and there's singers, and I feel like I'm just somebody that probably just sings. But like songwriting has always been that's always been the thing that I've leaned into the most. But what I've kind of noticed is, and this has been like a personal involvement of music, because in Nashville specifically, there are guitar players and studio musicians that have more years experience than I've been on this earth.
Yeah.
And so it's really tough when you have access to guys like that to go, yeah, like, why wouldn't I have him play on my record? Like, duh.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like, he's played on the Opry, and he's played for, he's played on Merle Haggard records, and like, why wouldn't he play on my stuff? And because they're all perfect. Like, they play perfect.
Oh,
because they've just been doing it so long. It's amazing.
And it's weird to see them do it, because they'll listen to a scratch track and be like, oh, yeah, I got that. Chart it out, and off they go.
And so, like, I guess I struggled with the fact of, maybe not having, just because it's not perfect doesn't mean that it's wrong. And sometimes, and so what I've basically done with this new stuff, like, I'm playing on the record, like, I'm playing guitar on the record, like, so it's going to have my feel of me playing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think I've been missing. And so I'm really excited to kind of interject that into my music and into the future projects that we have coming. It's so far, we just got done with the first single this week, and man, it sounds awesome. I'm really excited about it. Working with a great new producer, somebody that I'm familiar with, that's done some work on my stuff before, but never kind of led the producer helm. And I'm still very involved on the producer side of things, but I've certainly taken more of a like artist role instead of wearing the producer hat. And that was honestly like really nice, not to have to call like every single shot on every single thing, on things that maybe like, I've been doing this for a long time, but there's guys that have more experience at certain things than I do, and can make, and I could just focus on playing and singing and doing the things that, I kind of need to do there. So really looking forward to getting that out and kind of showcasing that, nervously excited about it to kind of see what people think, because it is different from what I've done in the past. But I think it will translate well for when people come and see me live. They'll be able to listen to my music and be like, okay, that's not a stretch from what I just saw.
Yeah, it kind of ties everything back together.
Right, yeah. There's more instruments on this. Like, it's polished. It sounds like it should be on a record.
Yeah.
But it's not like I need to go see a full band show of his now to understand this record.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to my buddy the other day. He's kind of out there, but he's okay. Yeah, he started to rant. He started to rave about this, that, and the other. He said the earth is flat. It sure ain't round as sun comes through. It don't go down if you think Apollo left the ground. Well, you're one dumb mother. Said I don't understand now what you mean. I saw it black and white on the TV screen. He said, come on now, they just set the scene with that lights, camera, action. Not sure what you know about big production. Use TNT for the flames and thrust in that Hollywood, man. They sure are something. Armstrong's up there laughing. Well, I wouldn't believe that, but I think I'm starting to. Do you really believe that? That's sure a lot to chew. Yeah, the lies get kind of blurry when you're looking for the truth. Yeah, I wouldn't believe point or two. Just look up there at those chemtrails. One day it snows and it's hotter than hell. I've been stacking up food and stocking up shells. I could outfit an army. Yeah, I got a website that'll blow your mind. It's got some crazy shit. If you got the time, you stick with me, you'll do just fine. We'll outlive the zombies. Well, don't get me started on the president. Your one little vote ain't worth 1 cent. They pick who's running, they pick who wins. It's all just one big show. Got Sasquatch on my trail camera. Saw Elvis driving when I left Atlanta. The Queen and that Princess Diana. Yeah, I won't go down that road. Well, I wouldn't believe that, but I think I'm starting to. Do you really believe that? That's sure a lot to chew. Yeah, the lies get kind of blurry when you're looking for the truth. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that, but you got a point or two. About the pyramids, Illuminati, Jimmy Hoffa, can't find that body. Y'all hear that signal? It's a little bit spotty. It ain't from this world. Yeah, the birds ain't real. The trees have eyes. JFK and those mob ties gonna tell them secrets. Tell no lies if you don't believe it's true. Well, just wait a month or two. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that, but I think I'm starting to. Do you really believe that? That's sure a lot to chew. Yeah, the lies get kind of blurry when you're looking for the truth. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that, but you got a point or two. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that, but I think I'm starting to.
Yeah, and I think that works well for what you do, because you can captivate an entire audience with an acoustic guitar in your voice. Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things that, you know, seeing your live show, and especially like we talked about, I was in that the first time I saw one of your shows, I was in that bad mood, and that
sure.
And it lifted me right up.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to capture that on a record,
yeah,
is something that I think is going to really resonate once it gets to the public.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. I'm definitely looking forward to that aspect of things, and you know, I certainly taking a lot of pride in kind of playing on this stuff too, and because you know it's not perfect. You know, it's not. You know, there's because I'm not a perfect player.
Well,
you
and
know?
Sometimes the mistakes end up being the best part of the song
For
anyway.
sure.
I'll play you one after a while.
I think it's getting to a point of understanding that.
Yeah.
That is difficult. It was difficult for me.
Yeah, I can certainly see how that is a factor
because everything that you're doing, especially from the independent side, it's like you try not to obviously compare yourself to, you know, other guys, or, you know, because we're all kind of on our own different journey, but just as far as like you want to put your best foot forward, you know, and you want to put out the best product that you can, and the product that's going to elevate you. But instead of selling your career, I think it's more important to sell yourself. And so this is more of saying, hey, this is what the music is. This is what I do. True to the bone, hardcore, and putting it out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, the mistakes that are in there, 9 times out of 10, nobody ever knows it.
Sure.
And I'll beat myself up on that, even with a live show.
Sure.
I'll miss a cymbal or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I get to beating myself up, and I'm like, wait a minute. That really doesn't have that much impact when we go back and look. Everybody at the show had a good time.
Yeah.
They were dancing. They were carrying on.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the cool thing about live music, because it's not always go break a string.
Yeah.
You know, monitor's going to go out, can't hear anything, and you just kind of work with it and go with it. And putting that, kind of taking that same vibe and putting it on an album, I think is really cool, because now you can access the emotion and the feeling of that song.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, you speak of like the live show. Like we had a great example this year of you know, I was playing this outside show in Tennessee, and it just came pouring rain, you know, and just out of nowhere, we just couldn't catch a break. Like it would dry up long enough for us to dry everything off, then just rain on us again.
Yeah.
And by the third time of this, like everybody's frustrated, and you know the night's not going how we want it to go for any of us.
Yeah.
And so I finally had enough. I was like, all right, I just ripped my guitar off the stand, and they had 2 big tents set up, and everybody's huddled under these tents and stuff, and I just grabbed a chair and I sat down right in the middle of all of them, and we just had us a show right
That's
there.
the way to do it right there. Hell with the rain.
And it was one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah.
You know, and they what was it a perfect scenario, or did I play perfect right there, or did, you know, was I screaming my voice out of my head and stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But like I played better shows in that area after that, or more professional shows. People still talk about that show.
Because
of what it was and what it meant, and taking, you know, a bad scenario and turning it good. And that wasn't just me. They all hung around, like they circled around. They wanted to stay. They wanted to be entertained. They wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And so we were able to collectively pull that off. But that's a live music thing there. You know, it's not perfect. It's not always going to, you know, work out.
Well, and that's a testament to how you value your fans too.
For sure.
Because you know they came there to see you, and you're like, hell with the rain.
Yeah.
I'm not playing these games anymore. We'll just get in this tent and have a damn show.
Absolutely.
And, and they got what they wanted. Everybody's happy. And like you said, they're still talking about that show.
Yep.
They're like, Addison doesn't need all that shit.
Yeah.
Hell with that. He can grab a guitar and get up and under a tent when it's raining.
Yeah.
Put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, man. We had fun doing it, you know, and you have moments like that, and you know, I don't know, and some of that comes with experience too. You know, 10 years earlier, maybe I don't handle that like that. You know, maybe it's maybe I just get the check and go home.
Yeah.
You know, or we just try to figure something out, or you know, but now it's like you look for those opportunities to make an impact and a memory like that where you can and when you can. Like, I mean, obviously we would all prefer to stay dry.
Yeah.
but the fact that we didn't was okay. You know, we had each other. We still had a good time.
Yeah.
And it was fun, man. And you have lots, you know, like that. The Europe trip, losing all your stuff, you know, it's like, man, I got them boots forever. I'll always every time I look at them boots, I'll think about that trip and how like it was crazy then. It wasn't good then, but it's funny now.
I'm gonna pester you till you write a song about them boots. I'm not gonna let it go. I'm just gonna keep poking at you, be like, Addison, remember them boots? Write that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we've had a good time, but we cannot have you on the show without talking about fishing.
Yeah, sure.
You're a great fisherman. Got your own fishing lures.
Great is a strong word.
Better than me.
Might be the strongest word. Yeah.
I go fishing. I always wind up getting too drunk, and I'm like, I'll just sit here.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's always been such a huge part of my life. You know, my grandfather, my uncle, 2 great fishermen. Unfortunately, I did not get the talent from it. I just got the love from it. And but I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great companies and stuff like that have supported me, not only on the water but behind the mic as well, and have kind of stuck with me, which has been cool. And so, and it's given me and, fans something to kind of talk about. There for a while when I was, especially coming out of COVID and stuff, where like we were getting back into touring and stuff, but it wasn't like full board. I was still fishing a ton at that time just because I had time to do it. And, there for a while, it was like, you get a line at the merch booth or something, and you're like, you see people with their phone in their hands, like, oh, they want to take a picture, and at 99% of merch booths, that's what happens. Yeah. But at my merch booth, it's because somebody's got a fish picture on their phone that they want to show me. Nice. Which is, so I get to hear whatever lie that they put with their picture. Yeah, and that's always given us something to like connect on and stuff. And
do any of them ever look previously frozen?
No. No, it's all. And man, I've had so many people, offer to take me fishing and go to different places and do so many cool things, and that it'll always be a part of me and my story, and something that I just love to do. I haven't got to do a ton of it this year. The touring schedule has just been outrageous.
Oh, I saw you. You're running the roads, man. Yeah, I mean, hats off to you.
Hey,
but Lord have mercy, you're putting some miles in on the van out
there. Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, but it's still important to take some time and go do that stuff every now and then. There's nothing like being on the water, for sure. So. It's something really cool, and yeah, we got a couple jigs out there that Yankum Custom Tackle has done for me, and that they're propped up in some Ace Hardwares across Tennessee that you you go check them out.
I'm gonna have to go find me some. If they don't work, I'm gonna pester you about that too. Like, are you fishing? Fine. Or it didn't work.
Well, instructions not included. Sometimes they're to catch fishermen, not fish.
Well. Yeah, however it works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Well, man, we've just had an absolute good time, and we appreciate you coming by and having a talk with us and talking about some of the new stuff. I think we're all excited about this new music coming out.
Absolutely, brother.
Going to need to hear a little bit of that if I can.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen to a little bit of that. And you're going to play tonight here.
Yep.
And we're going to put some of those songs in the episode.
Yeah.
That way folks listening can get them a little taste, and then they can go stream and just keep it on stream.
Absolutely.
Forever.
Yeah, man.
Buy some albums, buy some T-shirts.
Yeah, for sure.
Buy some fishing lures.
Yeah, it's just Addison Johnson music across everything, pretty much. All the social media and everything. If you use Addison Johnson music, I'll pop up in some form or fashion, more or less. And so, yeah, man, it was absolutely pleasure to come on here and talk today. Very much looking forward to playing tonight.
Yeah.
It's doing stuff like this is unique, and it's different, and it's fun because it just gives you a different aspect. You can talk about some different stuff and not be so business and serious all the time. So I appreciate the opportunity for sure, and look forward to hopefully come back and do it again.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do it again. Yeah. Once that album hits, we're gonna have to do it again. Yep. Get on there and talk about the album.
Absolutely.
Oh man, it's gonna be fantastic. So. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning into this episode. Addison Johnson Music, everywhere in the world, you can find him. I guarantee he's playing somewhere near you if you look at his website. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he's playing on the far side of the moon here before too long. I mean, the man loves his fans. Just a super cool dude. Go check his music out. Buy the music. Buy you some merch. You're going to enjoy it. And we appreciate you watching and helping support independent music. We'll catch you later.